Happy hello, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of Your Heard It Here podcast. We are entering season two, y'all. Season two. I never thought I would be here, and happy Black History Month. It's a whole lot going on this month, and I'm super excited. One, because it may sound like a very basic cliche thing, but I get to be here today within my time off from the podcast. I lost some people, and my lovely family members have also two pets that aren't here today. So it's a blessing in itself. And thank you to those who reach out to me to offer your condolences and love and support during that time. I'm starting season two off with a two-part series called She Had to Check and Reflect. And in this episode, we're going to talk about reflecting on where you are personally and emotionally and mentally. The reason why I want to talk about that is because it's so important to acknowledge that on your journey through entrepreneurship. I have been in full-fledged entrepreneurship for officially, I want to say, like completely, I'm going into about my third month. The first, I want to say, month and a half or so, I was not giving it my entire 1,000%. And the reason was, although I had just got out of one situation, one more had arisen, and it made my entire world stop. And as much preparation as I tried to do, even when I knew that when my grandmother went into the hospital Christmas Eve and James and I had to go there to communicate with doctors and check on her and talk to her and like back and forth, something told me I knew she wasn't coming back out. And that entire week, as I tried to push through my feature and push through a New Year's Eve performance, I wasn't really processing what was happening. I was trying to prepare myself for what actually did happen and accept it. I think I did myself a disservice of doing that because in turn, it affected my growth of not only my business, I think emotionally, and it stunted where I needed to be to get things done. And the and why am I telling you this? Why do you care, right? Anybody can just be like, girl, you telling me this? Maybe you should just go talk to the therapist. Actually, I do. At this point, almost weekly. But the reason why I'm telling you this is because for those of you thinking about walking into entrepreneurship, or you're even doing your side hustles right now, or you're doing two and three jobs plus your side hustle to try and make sure that your side hustle can be your main hustle, I'm telling you this because I've done all of those. I have done working two and three jobs while still maintaining or trying to maintain and build my personal brand. I have done working for corporate America and working in the hospitality industry for 15 or so years and still working on this brand and working on what it is I'm doing right now to make sure this is my main thing. And the entire time that I've done that in the past 15 years, so that will put me back at yeah, I had to count. So it'll put me back at around 16 years old. Since I've been 16 years old, I've been working on this and since high school and trying to get this off the ground. And even through college and after college and everything, I have been working on this. And the thing that I did that was such a disservice to myself was not put myself first. almost ever. I did myself a disservice. And I'm going to tell you what sparked this because you're probably asking, Talia, TC, how'd you get here? Like, why do you want to talk about this? My grandmother's service was on the 26th. So last week, I had a 5 day emotional spiral slash purge. The reason why I say it was a spiral slash purge is because I'm an emotional person, but I'm also the type of emotional, I'm a highly sensitive person who feels their emotions on a different level, on a different, deeper level where they feel so intense. Sometimes I can even like pick up the emotions of other individuals where I sometimes take them on as my own, and it's hard to decipher which ones are mine and which ones are the other person's. During this spiral, what sparked it was the first thing I was I wanted to talk to my grandmother, and I called her and I couldn't hear her voicemail. So I went back to my phone to find her voicemails that I saved. I switched carriers New Year's Eve, so all the voicemails I had saved of her telling me she loved me and just talking to me, were gone. You guys know if you have a gas stove, how it says light, so when you like turn all the way on to light and it's like click, 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 click. This is how this started. It was click, 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 click. The next thing was my first therapy appointment with my therapist, and we were discussing what happened at the funeral, what was going on with me and another relative, and the situation of how angry I was that, you know what, these two relatives I'm having issues with, they're going to be them. It is what it is. But the thing I'm most upset about is the outcome of what's happening between the friendship that was mourning, where we hadn't reconciled. It had been over 2 years at this point. And I was angry. And I didn't realize how angry I was and how badly it was still affecting me. And also, some of that anger was, I'm missing my friend. But I didn't know how to say at the time during that week, I missed my friend. All I could come out was, I'm angry she's not here. Why is she not here? Why are we not talking? Why can't we just get over it? Why is she not replying? Yada, yada, yada. And all of these things, right? That's what sparked it. What then turned the knob on high and ignited the flame was my interaction with an individual on Thursday, where they checked me and told me I had offended them and I had been doing things to offend them almost a few times. I was already, click, 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 click. So when that happened, of course, I got a little teary eyed and stuff because one, I'm like, this person of all people, I would never have wanted to disrespected or offended or offend or disappoint or make them feel the way that I did and make them that upset. And then it was just like, maybe I am the person that all of these people are telling me that I am and how horrible I am. And these negative parts of me, and I'm just really this negative person, how much I pretty much suck. So I went home Thursday, just emotionally distraught. The next day, I was trying to get myself together. I got my hair done, and I forgot what else I did, but all I remember was I didn't eat, and I was just like, I gotta go home, lay down. Like, I don't feel well. Everything I was feeling inside, the emotional turmoil, started physically manifesting in my body. And like, this was for like the first time in I want to say almost a month or a few weeks or so, that I started to feel like all of the pain and stuff from said injuries. And I'm like, this can't be good. And I just couldn't eat. I didn't have appetite. I was just so emotionally distraught and caught up in my own overthinking and my own anxiety of I just kept thinking maybe I really am just this shitty individual. Maybe I'm just this horrible person that people are telling me. In the midst of this spiral, a few thoughts came to mind. Another part of the thoughts were I'm upset I'm not seeing the results that I want to see since I've been on this journey and been putting all this work in for the past few months and nothing's changed. And it's like I'm still doing it, but nothing's changed. Then I'm like, well, if nothing's gonna change, then why do it? If this is all that my life is going to be, then why do it? Even though I have things to be grateful for, and God has answered prayers that I've prayed for, even prayers I've forgotten I prayed about. I have things to be thankful for. So in the midst of this spiral, the thought clicked of let's actually listen to what this person said on Thursday instead of what your feelings are telling you right now. Let's think about the words they said versus what feelings were triggered or came about from what they said. See, there's a difference. The difference is I had to actually listen with understanding to what she was actually telling me versus what it was I thought I heard because of what I felt. And a lot of us make that mistake. We do. So while I am in my bed, trying to work it out in my head, prepare mentally for Sunday and getting my mind right for the next week, I'm like, okay, what they said was I said things to offend them, and it was how I word things. And it's my wording because it comes off negative. Who else have said that before? Two other people have said that in the last year. And those other two people actually know me. So if three people are saying, if not the same thing, remotely close, and it's still within the same neighborhood, it can't be a lie. So let's really look at what's going on here. Because what they didn't say is you're a horrible person, you're a shitty individual, like you don't care about people, you do things wrong, no matter how hard you try, you're gonna fail. They didn't say those things, even though that's the feelings that you start feeling when you heard that. That's not what they said. They said fix how you say things. So it did not matter about what you've done or what you have or what you did or things like that for them. It mattered about how you made them feel and what you said and how you hurt them with your words. So I just think to myself, okay, you know what, Talia? You can be very rude. You can be very nasty. Sometimes you speak very loudly before you even think about it. And there's other reasons that as I'm going down through this rabbit hole, there's other reasons that that is. You've unconsciously picked up habits that you despise in other people that you grew up around, but you picked up those habits and you didn't realize that you were doing the same thing that they were doing, that you were continuing a generational trait. It's not really great to actually be passed down. So in my spiral, once I had figured that out, there were seven other points that I realized I was doing in my mental and emotional work, even at 31, making these connections, right? When I said I was so upset because no matter how much work I put in, nothing's changing. 1A to this is I let everything and everyone be my excuse because I was afraid of succeeding. That's the 1A part, y'all. For the last 3 years, almost around November to December, I have been in some type of employment situation. I've always been like the girl who always could keep a job, a steady job is, COVID happened, things were happening where I was always finding myself in a bind. I had found myself in the past couple of years in a bind of, I don't know where my next job is going to be because I don't know where my next paycheck is going to be. And I didn't have a cushion to fall on. When I started this podcast, that was the situation. I was in a situation where I did not have a savings to fall on, and my well, let's just say my reliable safety net of employment was no longer there and available to me. So what am I going to do? That being an everything situation. Everyone was so many people are dependent upon me. Not that I completely mind giving or taking care of people, but so many people are dependent on me that all of their needs come before my own. So I'm going to make sure that everybody else is taken care of first before I ever take care of my own needs. I'm going to make sure that the people who have helped me out get what they need done if they need help first, whether I sacrifice my body, sacrifice my strength, anything in those, or even, and you know what, not even just the people who helped me out. I have done it for jobs as well. I'm going to make sure the task gets done, no matter physically ill I am, or even if I've gotten hurt there. I'm still going to do what I need to do because it's my job. And I realized in that moment, since I was 16 years old, when it came to me really doing what I wanted to do to make me happy, I put every situation, every job, everybody else who's asked me, I put everybody else first because I'm like, I was afraid of succeeding. That if I truly put myself first and did what I wanted to do on my own terms, would I be ready for what that came with? Because it's not a question of whether I'm willing to put the work in. Because I've proven to myself I'm willing to put the work in, and I know I can put the work in. I know that I can. If I'm really determined to do something, I know that I can. It took me 3 tries to finally get my internship to Disney. I tried freshman year, sophomore year. I finally did it on my third try, my junior year, and I finally got that internship. But you know what? I had told myself, I made it a goal that I'm going to get my Disney intern. I'm going to work at Disney before I graduate Bridgewater College. I made it a goal that I was either, if I'm not going to have my book published, I'm definitely going to have a play up on this stage before I graduate and call myself a writer and director like Tyler Perry before I graduated Bridgewater College. And I did that all in the same freaking year. And I told myself that I am not going to be another statistic walking around PG County and staying in an area that makes me feel comfortable after high school, even though I kind of did it after college. But anytime I have made like a goal and completely set my mind on it, I have done the work and I've shown myself that I'm willing to show up for you to do what it is necessary to accomplish what it is that you're trying to achieve. But when it came to speaking or really performing your poetry or really going out there for it this time around, like this time around, because you know you can do it. You know that you have a gift inside of you. You know that there's something that's just calling you. You know that God is pulling you in different directions, that just wants you to be able to share your story and to be able to touch somebody, even if it's just one person in the room. You know that you have that ability to do that, but you are stalling and you are using everybody else and everything else that's happening to you as an excuse, even though He is continuously blessing you and showing you in more ways than one that you can do this. You're still using that as an excuse because you are afraid. And that's what I did. So I had to call BS on myself. I'm like, how dare you feel like you're entitled to see results for work that you have not put in? Yes, you've done some. Hey, look, we're not, let's pause, but we're gonna play again. I've done hours and hours of work getting my back office set up, learning things on how to do things on my own. I've done the work to know how to get it done myself so that way I can better train my assistants when they're doing this for me so that way they can do what I expect and how I expect it to be done, because I know what it's like to be in a position trying to work as if your boss would do it and you never get it right because you weren't properly trained and the expectations weren't clear. So I make sure that I'm very thorough with everything that I'm doing and how I'm setting up my business this time around the right way. So when my assistance comes and my next assistant comes, that they have this down locked and I train them correctly. So I've done a lot of that work. I've done a lot of let's switch systems. I've done that work. But when it came to truly pushing it full throttle and doing it at 1,000% speed, I've not done that. So how dare I feel entitled to see results for work that I haven't put in to see those type of results? So I had to call BS on myself for that because I was making excuses. Physical ailments, yes, there were moments in the past 6 months where physically I just couldn't do it. I couldn't physically, I could not do it. And it was harder to accept even more than anything else. But the moments where I legit was just too scared to even do what it was, that do the little bit that I could, because I was scared of succeeding. And I let my anxiety and my fear cripple me and hold me back. I did. The 1B part to this is I looked in the mirror because I did that. When I looked in the mirror, I did not like who I was turning into, because a part of me started to resent other people for my actions, even though it was a decision that I had made. God gave us free will. God gave His only Son to die for our sins, and through His death, we got free will. So I have the freedom to make my own choices and decide what it is that what I'm going to do and not going to do. But I made the active choice to not put myself first. By not putting myself first, I didn't put what was best for my business, what was best for my brain, what was best for my growth, what was best for the family that I'm building, what was best for all these other things that I'm trying to do to elevate myself. I didn't do that for the past 15 years. So now I'm here at 31 wondering, why haven't I seen those type of results? Because I didn't do that work. I didn't. Which brings me to two. My lack of boundaries caused parts of me to change for the worse. When I had to sit and think about what they actually said, how you word things, you can be rude. And sometimes when you say it, it's offensive. I had to think about, where did I get that quality from? Who did I pick that up from? And when I thought about the word boundaries, I didn't have them. If I'm putting everything and everyone else first, that means my boundaries clearly are almost close to non-existent. I didn't have that many. I didn't have boundaries not only protecting me mentally, I didn't have boundaries protecting my space. And when I thought about my space, I thought about the fact that I have never known a home that was truly peaceful. Now, let me clarify. I've my family, my grandmother raised me, and I moved in with my mom in high school. I have never been on the streets. I've been very fortunate enough to always figure out a way how I was going to get somewhere. My family is always, if I needed something, they have bailed me out. They've binds. They've provided for me. They've given me their last. I've always had clothes on my back, food to eat, even if it wasn't the food I wanted. But I always had something to nourish my body. I always had shelter. We had things that the necessities of what we needed. So I don't want that to be the things that's not be misconstrued. I had what I needed. Even in the times of struggles, I still had the necessities of shelter and food and warmth. I had those things. But when I think about peace and what peace means to me, meaning no yelling, no arguing, no negativity about this one did this and that one did this and this one don't like that one. So that now this one's fighting, they're fighting. Now we gotta watch out for that one. So now they can't come to the party or they can't won't come to your graduation or they're not gonna come over here because this one's fighting with this one. And now that one don't like this one over here. And now that they both fighting, and now this one ain't calling this one. So now I gotta deal with them, play peacemaker. When I think about stuff like that, or we're having a conversation and I'm crying, we didn't hug that much. My family is a family full of this is why I hate the word strong. I hate the word strong so much. I hate the word strong black female. I hate it. I absolutely hate the word strong because when I think of the word strong, I think about the fact that my family that is mostly female use the word strength meant we couldn't be vulnerable with one another, to be able to show each other affection, to be able to be with each other emotionally and be available. And my grandmother, she provided everything to us, and she raised a lot of us. And she was there for her. I don't know about the siblings, I can't speak for that, but for her grandkids, she was there emotionally for us. I will give her that. But when I think about my relationships, not even and we've talked about this, this is just my perspective, this is my narrative. When I think about looking at the different dynamics between the mother-daughter relationships, we don't hug a lot, we don't comfort each other in those moments when we're crying, except for when it has to be a moment of a funeral. But the moments we're really raw with emotion and we're just expressing our feelings, we don't do that well. We don't even do that well with just each other in arguments. But what do? We turn it and twist it sometimes where it may come off with a negative comment. Or if we are expressing our moment, our feelings, it's like you better just suck it up and you gotta get it together because you got stuff to do. So when I thought about all the things that I've been going through for the past 15 years, and not even just these last couple of months, I have always, the reason why maybe I put everybody and everything else first is because the people that I saw do it first was the women in my family. And the one woman I saw do it first was my grandmother. She put everybody else first. She put everything else first because she wanted to make sure that we had what we needed. And maybe, and this is just what I'm thinking because I don't have children yet, but maybe that's what you do when you're a mom. You want to make sure that everybody has what they need first, even if you're not getting what it is that you need. And even her from being from a different time period. But when it came down to where do I get this negativity thing from? I had to just pick it up over the years from my interactions, from the different relationships and dynamics of my family when we can say nice things, but it only lasts for a little while. Which brings me to four. The little Talea was appearing in spaces where the adult Talea needed to be. What do I mean by that? When those feelings were arising during my emotional spiral and purge, those feelings were connected to a lot of the parts of me that aren't healed yet that came from my childhood trauma, my fear of abandonment issues of why can't I live with my parents? Why does my father not love me? Why does he not claim me? Why does he not want to know me? Why does my mom not give me the affection that I need? Because let me also specify something else I learned within that emotional purge. And then some other healing conversations that came after that is I have always been great at showing someone love. And I have my own way of showing love, and there's nothing wrong with that. But how a person needs sometimes, how they need to be loved, may be entirely different than the way that you're showing it. So when I thought about that, when I said little Talea is appearing in spaces where the adult Talea needed to be, I realized that sometimes I was still just looking for the love that I didn't get fully as a child from both of my parents. And that's not saying that my mom doesn't love me, because I know she's probably going to hear this and thinks that it's a dig towards her, and it's not. And it's not. It's a collective thing of before having this healing moment with family members where I'm now speaking to all of my family members. Some of us that we haven't spoken to in 2 or 3 years. And now we're having these moments of clarity, and I'm hearing how their experience was with certain relatives or aunts or uncles and things like that. Where I'm like, oh, dang, you got it too? And I'm like, oh, just because I wasn't there to see it, but I also never heard your side of it. And we never talked and we didn't have those conversations. Why didn't we have those conversations? Because those conversations could have helped. They could have helped me. And I always felt like the oddball out. And then to hear that everybody had their own feelings of feeling like the oddball out. So those feelings of feeling abandoned and feeling alone as a child and feeling like I was always a disappointment because I felt like my father would never come and claim me. And even when I did finally meet him, he still denied me in my face. And how did still not actually dealing with that and how to get over it? How do you really process that and get over that? How do you accept that? Because it's been about 3 years and I still have come to terms. I fully haven't accepted that. The fear, not knowing peace, having those trust issues, knowing that even the people that now that I realize were your uncles and stuff that came around, you get close to them, and then you start seeing them as a father figure because they act like one towards you and start to show you love, and then they disappear. So now you have trust issues, you have acceptance issues, all of that stuff was now starting to show up in my adult relationships, whether it been my friendships or even sometimes in my romantic relationships, past and even my present one. This healing journey, it's continuous, but it's painful. It's not meant to be happy go lucky joy. Oh, great. You know what? I'm over that. Peace. Cool. Let me keep moving. No, it takes, you have to really you really got to check yourself and reflect and do the work. And sometimes if it takes going down the rabbit hole to figure out where these emotions come from, where they sparked, where do they connect to in your past, and why are you feeling this way, you have to be able to do this, because if you don't start at least acknowledging your pain, which is number, well, 5, 6, whichever number I'm on. The next one of, since I never really acknowledged my feelings and gave myself time to grieve things that I lost and actually take time to process them, I have never really healed. And I'm saying this because if this last month has taught me anything, from reconnecting with family members, the one thing that I learned was I let somebody else's narrative of that person become my experience, even though that was not my experience with them as an individual. But you know, as you're a child and you're in whatever household you're in, you're told that you kind of have to, whether you are told directly, you're still indirectly told you have to take sides and you want to take up for, well, I was close to my grandma. I want to take up for mama. And then I'm always trying to protect my mom or protect this one. So then you adopt that narrative. And then as we're all having our own moments of reconciliation and I'm getting the apologies I thought that I would never get and then some, I'm like, I wasn't even for real, for real. I was mad at you about, I had my quarrels with you and my other issues with you about something separate, but I never really got why you left until now. I'm in the space that now I just can't even stay in this area because I don't like who I am when I'm in this area. When I'm away from this area, I feel a sense of what peace could actually feel like, or what that could look like for me, what it could actually look like for the woman that I want to become, the woman I'm working on trying to become, not only for my future children and for the family that I'm creating and for the family that I'm building, but the woman that I want to become for myself. Because I got to fix me first before worrying about being anything else for anybody else. I got to fix me for me. I have to heal the little Talea that never had those moments of, baby, no one ever told me you're enough. Just because he isn't here and he won't come to your rescue, or he won't come just to say, I'm proud that you're my daughter, or I'm really actually proud of you, and not have it be followed with a negative comment, or not have it be followed with some other type of yelling at you or some other type of negativity, but just to be proud of you in that moment and just to let that stick and not criticize you and not tell you that you still have to keep overachieving and overachieving, because no matter what you do, it's not enough. And no matter the bar that you set for yourself, you still won't ever reach it, because the bar is still all the way up just as high as God. And there's never a limit to how much you can achieve, because it will never be enough. I have to heal that side of me so that way I do not do this to my daughter. I don't want to carry these burdens and these habits and push them off of my child. I also don't want to not only push them off of my child, I don't want to show them that this is okay and this is how a way to live, because there is another side of acceptance and healing. Because there are some stuff that I feel like I have healed from, but this stuff right here, no, I don't want that. Another thing that I learned was, because I'm kind of like just in the moment, y'all. Before I get to the last thing, the only separation that I knew was bagging at the grocery stores. The only separation that I knew was the bagging at the grocery stores. So, you know, where you're shopping, you know, let's take Walmart, for instance. You're walking into Walmart and you're going down all the aisles. Those of us who, you know, like shopping. You got your feminine products, you know, your body wash, your bleach, laundry detergent, pet food, lawn care, car stuff, frozen food, canned goods, refrigerated stuff, some sheets, some bath towels, you know, maybe a t-shirt or so, uh, whatnot, DVDs, right? When you take all your stuff up the shelf, when you take all your stuff up to self-checkout, when you start bagging it by the department. And where in your mind, okay, well, it's probably not your mind. In my mind, I start bagging them according to the space that they're going to go to in my home. So my frozen food and like all my refrigerated stuff goes in one bag. All of my clothes and my maybe sometimes my body wash and all of my feminine stuff goes in one bag because it's about to go to my room or my bathroom. So between those two, bleach, laundry detergent, one thing, pet food, again, another space, lawn care, car stuff, another bag. Gotcha, right? Everything is separated into its own entity because it's going into that particular space in my home or my car. So when I get home, when I'm starting to unpack these things and put them away, I'm dealing with each individual item one by one in the space that it belongs in. I only do that with groceries. I don't do that with problems. When problems happen in my life, I will take all of it on and just hold it all like this. Just in one big old hug. Not like I should be hugging this thing. I mean, one big old hug, and I'm just dealing with it all like this. Instead of dealing with each individual item in its individual space and putting it away where it belongs, one by one, in its own separate space as an individual. So when I would have my issues with people, I could never take my issues with people one at a time. And I know I did this because when that spiral happened, I noticed it happened within that spiral because I was taking something that was it sparked by me losing my voicemails from my grandmother to then my therapy session of me being angry with the situation that was happening before say reconciliation. Then I took another issue that was happening with said individual. Then I piled on that issue that with two other conversations that happened way back when. I took that issue onto it. Then I took the grief issue of what was happening with my grandmother that was happening. Then I took all the issues that happened from January 1st of arguing at the hospital all the way until January 28th of arguing after the repast, after the service, all that stuff that happened with it. I was thinking about every single thing, got mad at that all over again. And I was just hugging it in my spiral, just thinking about every single thing and how everything was making me mad and how all this stuff. And I was just like, see, it's a common theme. It's a common theme. It's a common theme. See, no one listens to me. No one hears me and no one cares. And it doesn't matter what I have to say. It doesn't care. Da-da-da. And and before then, it took me talking to one of my aunts, and she was just like, "You have to learn how to separate things." And even when she was saying it, like I was hearing her, but I was just like, "I don't do that." And when I finally hit, like I was in that rabbit hole, I just kept falling, but I was not making Wonderland. I was not reaching the white rabbit. I was not finding him. I'm like, I have to deal with these things one at a time. It's not like this is not healthy. And I don't want to live my life like this because if this is the only way that I deal with problems and I'm not continuing to face them, how am I ever going to get past when real shit happens to me and I have my businesses and I have all this stuff going on? Do you think that when I elevate, I'm not going to get more problems and other things aren't going to happen? Do you really think that when I move and when I have my family, that other things are not going to arise? And how am I going to deal with that? I cannot at that point just have a spiral and retreat when I'm still going to have to get things done. Even like in this moment, I still have to get things done. I have to learn how to be able to deal with it now and deal with it in a healthy manner. Another reason why I realized I did this is because Sunday, that Sunday when my friend and I agreed to meet up and actually have a conversation to completely clear the air. And we were telling both of our sides of the story of like pretty much what was going on and what was happening in our friendship before and the things that were work that didn't work. As I'm listening to her narrative, I'm listening to the fact that there were things that was happening in my life at the time that I took out on her and I didn't even realize I was doing it until I was saying, well, this is how I was feeling at the time. And I'm like, listening to her side, I'm like, hey, Talia, she didn't even say that. And as I recall, as I'm thinking it back to that moment, she didn't say it then either, and she's not saying it now. So that was something you projected onto her because of everything else you were feeling from other stuff. But the problem is, you still weren't, not only were you not acknowledging it, you weren't communicating what was happening with you. You weren't communicating your feelings. And you have to communicate. You got to communicate what's happening, what's going on, because you cannot get through this shit alone. Everybody is figuring it out. And at this point, it does not matter what age you're figuring it out. With every single year, there's something that's going to come about that you don't know. You don't know everything, and life is about figuring it out. But if you have people that actually love and support you and want to see you do the best that you can, keep them around and maintain those relationships, water them, nurture them so that they can grow, they can be prosperous. So you can also make sure that you're helping them grow as well. You know how to do that, but why can't you receive that? You can't receive it because little Talea still doesn't know how to accept love because she didn't get the love that she needed. You got to stop. So the last thing that we're going to do from this one, in this reflection, from this spiral, because we know that this isn't your first. This probably isn't going to be your last, but at least let it be your last spiral to this degree. Let it be the last one where you feel so overwhelmed that you don't really talk about all the other feelings you're feeling because you're scared of being judged or being a bothersome. Let it be the last spiral that you feel because you're scared of really admitting you don't know what you're doing and you're really scared of succeeding because you don't know what the next step is. Even though you're still trying to trust God, but you know that trusting God and the uncertainty and fear don't go together. They just don't. And you're trying to figure out which way to go, even though you all know you should always go with your faith in God. But you know that your faith has been tested by your grandmother leaving this earth and having to move the body of your dog that was one of your best friends for 9 years. But first, let's at least acknowledge that it's okay to have that moment of questioning. That it's okay that you know they're in a better place and they're together and they're with the Lord. But at the same time, you're angry that they're still not here with you. And you can have those feelings at the same time, and both things can be true. but they're not here anymore, and you are. If there was a gift that she's given you from her death, it was reconciliation with your family members. It was getting the friend that you missed for so long. The reason, one of the reason why you were so angry for over 2 years of losing that friendship, and why you carried so much other just mistrust issues in your heart. But now you have that back. So what are you gonna do with it? What are you gonna do with the fact that now you're actually getting opportunities, stuff that you felt entitled to now, but now you need to really completely go 1,000% to? What are you doing with it? How are you moving forward? Your feelings may have been hurt, but would you rather your feelings be hurt and adjust, or not be giving another chance for resolution at all? And then to be sitting there with your feelings and then just hoping and praying for another chance. But now you have the chance. So what are you going to do with it? So now, putting ourselves back together. We're putting a plan in place that involves boundaries. Putting a plan in place to ask our therapist more in-depth, specific questions about what we need on this healing journey and where you really are in the space that you are now. Now that you've had this emotional spiral and this purge, where are you right now? And what is it you need? And what are the tools that you can do? Or what are the other things that you need besides, okay, these are the issues I'm dealing with this week. So how do I handle these issues? Versus, this is where I realize I am right now and I'm struggling with it. How do I help heal some of these trigger moments? And how do I help heal the little girl inside of me? Because this is what I've uncovered. This is what I'm really feeling. And it's starting to impact me functioning and showing up for myself, for my partner, for my friends, for my business, just overall just showing up, because I'm so stricken with grief and mourning for the things that little Talia didn't get, mourning the most important person that left me, mourning my dog that's no longer here, whose body I had to move, which is more traumatic than I've truly processed. So what are we going to do to make sure that I am on the process to true healing, whether it be day by day or sometimes moment by moment? Because these days haven't been great. Sometimes not even good. And that's not me complaining, but it's been hard. But I want to be better for myself, because when I'm better for myself, I can be better for everything else around me. But it starts first with boundaries. It starts first with changing my environment, which y'all will hear more about later this season. It starts with, I have to be disciplined enough for the things that I want to accomplish. It means the things that I say that I want, I need to be putting in 1,000% effort to get them. And if I'm not getting the results that I want to see, then it's me that's the cause of it, not everything else around me. I have to be consistent. I have to feed my mind with over positivity. I got the affirmations app. I'm posting affirmations every day. Not just because, okay, it's easy content, but I'm like, I'm not the only, if My family members told me that they were feeling the same way that I was feeling when I was younger. That means it tells me that there's somebody else in the world that's feeling how I'm feeling right now. And if they don't have access to this, then let me post it. If someone sees it, whoever sees it, it helped at least somebody. No longer feeling guilty for the decisions that I make for the betterment of myself. So for the first time in 15 years, so I've been 16 years old, I am making decisions that are best for Talea TC Hurt. What is the best for her betterment, her mental, her emotional, her physical state of being, her peace, her career, her life, and for the family that she's creating. And I have to be able to come to a space of acceptance and letting go of what no longer serves me. By dealing with things like how I bag my groceries separately, individually, one at a time, and not letting it spill over into one big old hug of mess like I'm carrying it through the store. If you find yourself in an emotional spiral or purge, if you will, I humbly urge you to allow yourself, excuse me, I didn't expect to cry all of that. I also didn't expect to get into it that much. I humbly ask you to move through the emotions. You have to do the self work. You have to get to a place where you become self aware enough, because if you continue to ignore it, it's going to be hard, even harder when you get continued every year. It's going to get harder and harder. You have to be honest with yourself, even if it's ugly, even if it hurts, even if it's just unbearably painful. You have to be honest with yourself about where it is that you are, what it is that you need to move forward. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode of your Heard It Here podcast, coming back into season 2 on Black History Month. This month is focused on the arts and humanities. You can catch me at a few schools this month and at 2 virtual workshops that I'm teaching. Well, by the time this airs, I would have already taught that first one, but my second virtual workshop is going to be It's Giving Published, honey, on February 21st on Zoom, so you can take it from the comfort of your home or anywhere else that you're going to be. I don't want to just talk your ear off. So I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for listening to this open and transparent conversation. I promise I don't be trying to cry on every single episode. I'm just a Cancer. I'm emotional. It just be happening because it be happening. I be moved when I be getting into it. So I appreciate it. And if something in this episode has helped you, or you felt something, or or you just want to say how much you love it, please make sure you comment and leave a review on Spotify and on YouTube. Even hit us up on Instagram. Just let us know. So I love you. Happy Black History Month. Happy almost Valentine's Day to everybody, but also to just happy love and spreading love to everyone, because you should be spreading love every single day. So it's been another wonderful episode with me, your girl, the TC Hurt, and have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I appreciate you. May you all have a successful and phenomenal rest of your day. Bye.